lovely viewer. You're watching Making Money, the podcast, and we're back with yet another exciting episode. My name is Priva, and we're going to be focusing on online businesses. In Uganda, many businesses do not get to see their first birthday because of different factors. But my guest today has managed to overcome those and actually sustained a creation that she's going to be unpacking today on the program. Joining me is Catherine Sawe, the founder of Sawe Creations. Thank you for joining us, Catherine.
Thank you for having me here.
Sawe is your actual name?
Yes, it is my surname.
Yeah.
So I'm Catherine Chepkoech Sawe.
Yeah.
I'm from Kenya.
Nice.
But I have lived here for 19 years
19.
in Uganda. So I guess I qualify to be Ugandan.
Absolutely. But then how do you make the switch from Kenya to Uganda?
So I came here for my university. I studied industrial and fine arts at Makerere.
Yes.
And then after that, before I graduated, I already had like a small job. So I decided to stay, and I kept saying every month I'm going back. And then now 19 years later, I'm still, maybe, you never know.
Is it the weather that kept you back? Is it our nice Rolex?
It's also the people.
Yeah.
People are quite friendly. Yes, the weather is really good. And it's easy to get around.
Yeah. How about the atmosphere for like business?
For business is also good. There's a lot of opportunity. There are a few things that fail in one way or the other.
Yeah.
But all in all, it's a place of opportunity.
How does Sawe Creations get into the mix?
So fashion actually was by accident. So I was an artist. I'm like a painter. I manage art galleries. I went into cosmetics. I was managing a Chinese franchise. Anyway, fast forward, a friend of mine got pregnant, and we were having what they call baby shower.
Yes.
And I was looking for a gift that's African inspired for a baby. And I looked around and I couldn't find. But in university, I'd done a course in fashion, a small course, and I still had my sewing machine.
Yeah.
So I decided to make a set of bibs and booties with the kitenge material. And as soon as we unveiled the gifts, I got my first order.
Just like that?
Just like that. People liked it. So by then I was still working, of course. So then they kept coming, and we had Jumia then. So someone told me, why don't you put them on Jumia? And they started selling. And then within no time, because it was also with work managing, so I started like hiring some senior six leavers who are neighbors to be cutting in the evening. I would stitch. And then it went from that to people ordering dresses for the kids. And then I decided, you know what, I'm going to take a leap of faith and go into fashion.
Which year is this? Which are we talking
about?
about?
In 2016. 2017.
Close to a decade. Congratulations.
Yes. But it hasn't been easy.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I got too excited, and then halfway you realize you don't have enough knowledge about the industry. One thing is doing something because you have the passion or maybe a talent.
Yes.
But one thing is learning about business, how to work with money, finances, how to do the balance sheet, not to spend every money that you receive, which is easily confused when you start a business. Yes. And I did fail. A few times I did fail, but I learned from my mistakes.
One or another.
Yeah.
You did mention the bit of having the talent or skill.
Yeah.
Is this something that you had when you were like a little girl, or did you have to learn it when you were at campus?
So I was always like into art, and I always used to sketch. In fact, as a kid, I used to dream of being a fashion designer. I was very good at sketching.
Yeah.
But the patience of sitting on a machine was a bit of a challenge. So when I got to university, I chose art, like visual arts, painting, drawing. I did textile.
Yes.
So I still had a bit of the knowledge for textile and a bit of the fashion, but it wasn't my main interest. My main interest was in art, visual arts, creating art. And then, it brought me to fashion. And I can say I've always had it in me, the creative side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you did mention, of course, you got to a point and failed. We shall get to the failure later on. But you start your business and you're seeing a lot of orders coming in.
Yes.
Was your first instinct to have your business online? Or did you say, you know what, it's okay, let me first have my walk-in clients and work with them for the meantime?
So I started as a cottage industry, which means the shop, the production was in the apartment I was living in my room.
Yes.
So during the day while I was at work, I had some senior 6 levers cutting the fabric. Then I would sit and stitch on it. And then I think it was just Jumia. Was it Jumia? Yes, I think Okaimo it was called. It had a Lamadus, something. It was like the first online shop. And so that was my first interaction with online marketing or online sales.
Yes.
And it was okay as I received the orders, and I would take a border and deliver to different places. But what I didn't account for most of the times was the money you spend on the border, the fabric. I mean, my products were quite cheap then, yeah. But I was so happy to be getting money from the little that I have made that I didn't put into mind that, you spend this much on paying maybe the senior 6 levers, helping the borders, electricity, so many things.
Your time.
Yes, my time as well. And in the end, I was operating on a loss.
Oh, yes.
Yes, big time.
Oh, my dear.
So in 2017, at some point, I had to take a leave because I was not earning. Remember, I had quit my job.
Oh, by then you're not now juggling both.
No. So I was excited. I was like, yeah, I'm going to make it. I'm going to be a fashion designer. So I quit my job, went into this without any planning. It's like, I'm going to be successful. I'm going to be out there. Anyway, within 1 year, I was exhausting, eating from hand to mouth. So then I got another job. I went back to the 9-to-5 job.
Situation,
yes.
yeah.
So I was a sales and marketing manager for a sales institution, which actually helped. And then I learned how to maneuver, and then I had to sit down again and think, do I really want to go into business? And if it's really business, which one is it? Is it the fashion? Is it the art? And eventually I saw, I could do a lot in the fashion industry.
Yes.
And I started doing my research. I started learning from people who've made it before, how they started. And then I jumped back in and I started again.
Yes.
From square one. So in 2018, I went back. Of course, having learned what I'd learned, I decided to register my company so that it can be easy to do. And by then, I had started receiving orders also from outside people who are interested. I'd put on a few, I think Etsy then, so I was receiving orders from outside, but the payment was always a problem. We didn't have a bank account and all that. So I had to make it official for TIN number for payment.
Yes.
And I went there and I started as a kids wear brand officially. So
that is after bouncing back again, now for the second time.
Yes, but by this time I'd already established the market, and I knew that I didn't want to spend so much on renting a shop. But I realized there's a way you could also partner with shops and be selling at their shops or even supply to shops.
More of like sub-renting?
I had, yes. No, they sell for you. They get a commission. You get your money.
Okay.
And so I identified a few shops that I thought could work with me well. The products were in line with my products. And sometimes I would tell the clients, you go to this shop. So it saved me the transport costs. So I had some of my products in some shops. And then I realized, there's also a market in Kenya where I come from. So I also did that. So I was working from a very small space at home.
Yeah.
But I was supplying in different shops. I had like 3 or 4 outlets that I was supplying to, and then Kenya. So that's how it kind of started.
That's how you kind of like began.
Yes.
I'm going to take you back again. Do you remember the day you said, you know what, I've actually failed here? I know you talked about how you didn't factor in the expenses of, transportation, paying the
Yes.
guys who are working for you. Do you think there are any other issues that contributed to that, minus you not catering to your expenses?
Okay. Number one, first, the time, and you said at what point I realized that I was operating under a loss is when one month it got to the end of the month, and I looked at what I had, and it was the first time I didn't have my rent in full, and I was like, "No, girl, you have to get serious." And then I looked at what I'd been spending on, and it still wasn't adding up. I'm selling, I'm buying fabric, but there's no money at the end of the day. Where is the money going? And I'd minimized my spending. And then I realized I wasn't factoring in so many things. My pricing was horrible. So I said, you know what? Let me try and go back to the
Drawing board.
Yes. And also learn. So then I learned from the Sales Institute, which was also by luck that I worked there then.
Yes.
It was this Daniel Chaudhry Sales Institute then when he was starting. And I learned a lot. And then from there, I went back now knowing, okay, I still have to operate under minimal cost. I can't afford to rent a shop, but I can afford to partner with different people, which I think is a big problem many creatives have, is we always want to work by ourselves and we don't want to collaborate. Everyone wants to work
do it their own way. Forget there is power in collaboration.
So once I identified that, at the end of the month, I would receive at least sales from 3 different outlets or 4 from Kenya as well. So that grew from the kids wear to people wanting clothes maybe to match with their kids for adults. So then I had no experience, 0 of making adult wear. So then I had to hire someone and I started working with tailors, different tailors, which was not easy. If you've worked with tailors, you know, we all know.
They're next to carpenters.
Yes. So
same category.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
So it wasn't easy delivering deadlines, all that.
Yeah.
But somehow I managed to get 2 people who were okay, and we worked with them until COVID. So I opened a workshop in 2019.
Yes.
In Kamocha. And it was going really, really well. We were still supplying the other shops. But then COVID happened. And then we had to work again from home. And then by the time we came back, it was election.
Yeah.
Being in Kamocha was also not easy.
Wrong timing, wrong place.
Timing, wrong place.
Yes.
So then we ended up closing again. And we went back to working at home. So, and also COVID had taught us a lot. The power of working from home.
Yes.
Yes. We learned how to survive and maneuver. Then I remember, because people also minimized on their costs, our main product became masks.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
So we completely shifted
the focus
and went straight into masks. And then with the masks, sometimes we would offer a few things like small bags for packing and all that. And that's how we survived COVID.
Nice. Now, by the time you made that transition from making the kids wear to making the wear for adults,
yes,
did it take you like maybe getting out alone elsewhere, or was this money from your own savings?
It was from my own savings.
Nice.
All through, it's been from my own savings.
Most people find it very hard to save money, especially when you're dealing with like an online business or any other business here in Uganda. How did you manage to save?
So, because I came to Uganda alone, so my family is back in Kenya, my parents are back in Kenya. So from an early stage, I learned, I was alone.
Yes.
If you have to manage, you are alone. So I started saving and I minimized. I was very conscious on what I was using
spending on.
Yes, exactly.
For example, like what, you had to leave out partying? You had to...
Okay, instead of going partying,
Yes.
I had the parties at home.
Nice.
You invite the people. They will bring their own things. And it minimized going out and spending on that. But yeah.
What are the biggest challenges you think you've encountered as the founder of Sawe Creations?
So one thing I forgot to mention is when it started picking, I thought, you know what? I am going to aim for the Ugandan market to all be dressing their children in Ugandan-made African wear. But that was a big problem. Getting people to appreciate what is made here. Number one, the Ugandans themselves, us ourselves, when you hear something that is made from Uganda, is the first thing, is it really that good? And I've also experienced that even right now when some clients or some people come to the shop and I tell them everything is made from Uganda. They're like, are you sure?
They start having doubts.
Yes. So the mentality of people around, I mean, it's a country of 40 plus. It's one of the youngest populations. So the market is there. We have the market, but the mentality of the people is a big problem.
How are you able to convince people that, listen up, what is made here in Uganda is as good as what is made in the UK or China or even India?
So number one is sharing the stories. I think once someone hears the story and they see the final product, one thing is telling a person that there is good things, but if they don't see and they don't understand what it is, then they won't believe. So every time I endeavor to tell someone, like, for example, we have bags made from banana fibers that you wouldn't believe is made from banana fiber. And you would pass it just thinking it's an ordinary woven bag. It doesn't look, but it is not what you would expect from a banana fiber. So when I tell someone this is actually made from cotton and banana fiber, they're like, huh? How? We have bags made from recycled plastic.
Nice. Yeah. Do you outsource all your raw materials from Ugandans, or do some things come from outside?
No, from Ugandans.
Nice.
All from Ugandans. And then somewhere in between, actually, I decided really I want to do Uganda. I want to make it a fully Ugandan brand. But there was a problem with the raw materials. So I wanted to work with cotton because cotton is friendly for kids' bodies, for all of us,
Yeah.
But 99.9% of the cotton in Uganda is exported as raw material. There are only 2 factories in Uganda that process cotton, that is Nightil and Fine Spinners. Fine Spinners make the finished products and they export 99.9%. So the fabric itself, getting the fabric is next to it's impossible.
Difficult in a way.
Yeah, the fabric itself. Then you go to Nightil. They have good quality cotton, but also the one you find here in the market is not necessarily the best quality. And like they have ginger cotton, which is really good, but sometimes it's in stock or not in stock. That consistency is not there. So to fast forward, making the Ugandan brand and working with kids, I thought, okay, I want to move away from the kitenge, which is not Ugandan. As much as we call it African, it's not. It comes from China or Ghana or Holland.
Yes.
So I wanted to make something that is uniquely Ugandan. And because my first brand is kids wear, I had an idea of working with children, converting their sketches, making children sketch and maybe converting the sketches into a print. Because remember, my background is in art.
Yes.
So then the first print we did, I sat down with one of the sons of my tailors, who was 4 then, and asked him to draw anything that makes him happy. And he drew like 6 pages. So I had to pick the images, a good one. It took some time.
Yeah.
And I created like a motif to work with. I did a screen and we printed it on fabric, and it was amazing.
It was beautiful.
It was beautiful. And that was the beginning. His name was Arnold Rothomio. And we did our first print and named it Rothomio print.
Nice.
Yeah. And so, but also getting someone who can print. First, we don't have those digital printers.
Yes.
Yeah, that can do fabric. So you have to get someone with a screen to sit for hours. In fact, squat on the fabric as they start from there too. So that was also not easy.
So I know you've mentioned a couple of challenges here and there, but as someone who has been in the industry for close to a decade, why do you think your peers, especially the ones who are entering the industry, fail to have their businesses make it past the first birthday?
I think for creatives, first, the system to support creatives here are not so friendly.
Solid, yeah.
Yeah, they're not so solid. I mean, in other industries, agriculture, education, the system is there. But for creatives, it's a very new concept, and we don't have the systems to support us. Number one, it's very expensive. We are taxed the same way people who are importing things are taxed, and people expect to buy items from us that are the same price as, say, what is imported from China. So pricing your product to what its actual value is reduces on the clients that you have. So then you have a scenario where creatives are living hand to mouth. And at some point, they give up because they're not earning. Yeah, you can't be living like that. And then they start doing part-time jobs. And once you start mixing like that, it just doesn't work. So I think the systems, number one, fail us. The resources fail us as well. But also people don't endeavor to learn and to have the discipline when it comes to managing finance. And also believing in your products is also one thing. Some people undervalue. I mean, there's always a target. There's always someone who can afford to buy your product. Yeah. But some people undersell, like the same mistake I did. And then you end up running at a loss. Yeah.
Definitely happens to most of us.
Yeah.
Oh, personally, by the way, I started a business and it didn't survive its first birthday. So everything Catherine is saying is really, really true.
Yeah.
So would you encourage anybody to join this business? And if so, what advice would you share with them?
I would definitely advise, if you have the passion, definitely you should follow it through.
Yes.
But number one, you really need to do your research. We also suffer from a thing of copy and paste. Yeah, it's a big problem here. So people have talent, but sometimes they're reduced to not believing in their products because this is trending. So someone ends up doing what they don't want to do, but just
because
to trend.
Trending.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're original, stick to it, but also learn from others, work with others, fish and find out who has been in the industry. How have they failed? How have they learned? And also learn from the mistakes. Sometimes we make mistakes and think, if I do it again, I'm sure it's going to work. But find out and be honest to yourself. And collaborate with people.
Where you can.
Yeah, where you can. Find out what is happening outside. I mean, the fashion industry has changed a lot. Now we have sustainability. We have where you can trace your source, how you're sourcing the fabric. So those are the trends we have to keep in line with the global trend, because sometimes our market is not only in Uganda, but also outside.
Across the borders,
yes.
We didn't talk about the issue of online advertisement. Is there a way you do that to ensure that at least your clients are coming to you? Or do you leave it to the Lord that someone gets to go to the website, Sawe Creations?
No. By the way, online social media, I hated, but I realized that now no business can survive without social media, at least not in Uganda.
Yeah.
You need an online presence, no matter what. If you can't do it, get someone to help you. That's what I realized many times. Like in the morning you wake up, I have to do a post, but what will I do? Which post? And sometimes you're not gifted. Not everyone is gifted in social media, but we need it. Get people who are gifted, ask for help, get photographers. I'm poor in photography. My hands shake like I've been a drunkard for 20 years, which is not the case. But yeah, get help from people. That's what it means by collaborating, working together. And the fashion industry or the art industry spreads a lot. Social media, photography, people who can do your mood board. So, yeah.
Some people might say, but even with social media, I've tried. I'm now 6 months in, but all I get is 12 likes on my posts. Do the likes matter, or do we have to keep pushing?
Now, the thing is, there are people who post to get the likes, and there are people who post to get the action.
Yes.
So you also have to learn what I'm posting. Is it going to just give me likes, or is it going to bring action? So there is that mentality that we had, if I post one photo every day, but there are algorithms that people have proven. So we need to learn. Even me, I had to learn. So you have to learn what product you're selling. How should you present it in social media to make it sell? If you're looking for likes, that's one thing. If you're looking for action, you're looking for sales, there's ways to do it. But you need to learn. And you also need to consult with people who are doing it. Myself, as I said, I am poor in social media, so I have people helping me.
Professionals to take you through that.
Yes.
Okay, as we wrap up the conversation, Miss Catherine, do you mind sharing with us your parting shots?
Well, do believe in yourself. If you have the talent, if you have the goal, please believe in yourself. Don't give up. It's an industry of perseverance. Yeah. Things might seem hard in the beginning, but never give up, and always be willing to reach out. No one is alone. We are all together as a community, and reach out to people. There's always someone willing to help.
All right, so you've heard it from Catherine Sawe, the founder of Sawe Creations. We've been discussing the online businesses in Uganda, the challenges, but also the opportunities that are presented by the SEM. We'll be touching on other conversations concerning finances, but just like you've heard, guys, it's well. If you're in online businesses, reinvest instead of going to buy a house or going to buy a car. You could just reinvest that money, and then see how your business at least gets to survive the first birthday of its life. All right, so we'll be returning with yet another exciting episode. I'm Pruva. Thank you for watching Making Money, the podcast.